Hey guys, it's Ruben, and if you're new here, this channel is about uncovering what Scripture has been saying all along. So today, I want to walk slowly through the story of the prodigal son, because I think we've built an entire doctrine of separation from a story that never actually says anyone was separated. So, most of us were taught this. A son rebels, he sins, he suffers, he repents, God forgives him. That's the outline. But when you actually read Luke 15 carefully, without importing theology into it, something very different appears. So the son asks for his inheritance, which culturally is like saying, I wish you were dead. He leaves the father's house. He goes to a distant country. He wastes everything. And then he ends up feeding pigs. And that detail matters, because pigs were unclean. This is bottom of the barrel imagery. Total collapse. And then verse 17 says something fascinating. It says, when he came to himself. That's the turning point. Not when he repented, not when he apologized, not when he promised to change. When he came to himself. Why phrase it like that? It doesn't say when God finally forgave him. It doesn't say when heaven accepted him again. It says he came to himself. Now, that language implies something. It implies the issue wasn't distance from the Father. It was a loss of awareness of who he was. Let me ask you something very directly. At what moment did the son stop being a son? Show me the verse. Was it when he left the house? When he spent the inheritance? Or when he hit rock bottom? There isn't a single line in the story where the father revokes his sonship. Not one. The father never says, you're no longer mine. And then Luke 15:20 says this. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran to him. He ran. Before the apology, before the speech, before the promise to work as a servant. Now let's pause there. If the father had to forgive him, then the father would have had to stop loving him first, right? But the text never shows that. The father was already watching the road, already scanning the horizon, already moved with compassion. That means the father's posture never shifted. The son's awareness did. And then the father says, this son of mine was dead and is alive again. Dead. Not separated, not rejected, not expelled, dead. Dead doesn't mean abandoned. It means unaware, asleep to identity, disconnected from who he always was. So, what if this story isn't about moral failure creating distance? What if it's about forgetting who you are? Because notice something carefully. The only thing that actually changes in the entire narrative is the son's perception. The father doesn't move. The house doesn't move. The love doesn't fluctuate. The son doesn't return to union. he returns to the awareness that he never left it. The only thing that left the house was his perception. He came to himself. Now, let's zoom out. Psalms 139 says, "If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." So even in the pigsty, even in a far country, even at rock bottom, God isn't absent. Acts 17:28 says, "In him we live and move and have our being." So if we live in him, if our very being exists in him, where exactly could we go that is outside of him? How would separation even function? Maybe separation isn't geographic. Maybe it's perceptual. Maybe sin isn't distance. Maybe it's misidentification. The younger son believed he lost his identity through sin. The older son believed he secured identity through performance. But listen to what the father says to the older brother. "Son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours." Always. Not conditionally, not after obedience, always. So now you have these two sons, one who thought he left, and one who thought he earned. Both of them misunderstood the father. Both of them were living inside love while believing something false about it. That's not a story about exile. That's a story about illusion. So if you feel distant right now, don't answer emotionally. Answer precisely. Where is the distance? Can you measure it? Can you locate it? Or is it a thought appearing now claiming you left? Maybe the real miracle in Luke 15 isn't about the son returning. Maybe it's that the father never withdrew. The love never paused. The identity was never revoked. The son didn't travel back into union. He woke up inside a union that never ended. He came to himself. And maybe that's the invitation. Not crawl home, not earn back status, not convince heaven. But wake up. Come to yourself. And realize the Father never left the porch. And that is the hidden gospel.